Good afternoon, class. Oh, it's an afternoon. It is whatever. But yeah, what's going on, guys? I am back today and to talk about the AFC East. Now, you look at the AFC East, and I know for a lot of years we all know that we all know that the Bills own the division and have owned the division for the last number of years in the AFC East. It's been their division. But you look at the AFC East, it is a weak, especially the last couple of years, been a weak division. But you're looking at especially what the teams have done, especially looking at the Dolphins, the Jets, the Patriots, and the Bills. So we're going to start off with the Miami Dolphins. So last year, the Dolphins, there was a 8-9 team last year. They finished second in the division. They didn't get a playoff place last year, and then you had the whole thing with Tyreek Hill, with the whole interview with Tyreek Hill saying that maybe he should move on, and basically he's still there as the time of recording. The additions that they needed going into the 2025 draft, they needed especially reinforcements on that defense side of the ball. They needed an offensive tackle, defensive line, and a safety. Needed some more. They needed an interior linebacker, a tight end as well. And you still have that cloud over your head if you're a Dolphins fan that for many years, I know the Tua army is gonna go at me and go, how dare you say this about Tua, guys? It's time you cut your losses with Tua. He's been the starting quarterback for 5 years. We've been on this Tua project for 5 years. I think after 5 years, you should know exactly what you have with Tua Tagovailoa, and you're not getting the best out of Tua. Now again, people say, oh, Brian Flores, and yeah, Brian Flores wasn't the best for him. You bring in Mike McDaniels, and you're like, okay, we're in year 3 with this now, and we're still not getting anything. The years are going by here, and you had the weapons around Tua. So what's the excuse? Just isn't the guy, from the injuries, from his inconsistent plays. It's just, he doesn't strike me as a guy that's going to win the Dolphins or make the Dolphins a championship winning team. It's never going to happen, man. You know what I mean? But going in, so the first draft that they drafted in was Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle from Michigan. Again, great addition. You're beefing up the trenches on the defense side of the ball, fantastic. And then they drafted Jonah Sayora, who's again a guard. You're fixing that offensive line, which again needed to be addressed. And then they traded away a couple picks to the Raiders and the Steelers. And then Jordan Phillips, a nose tackle from Maryland. Jason Marshall Jr., cornerback, Florida. So again, beefing up that defensive line. Safety Dante Trader Jr., Oliver Gordon II, running back. Again, you're focusing more on that running game as well, which again is especially needed. Then going down here, you get Quinn Ewers, quarterback from Texas. Again, if Tua doesn't perform, maybe you're gonna have to put a Quinn Ewers in there. He was a late 7th round pick, but again, if Tua doesn't perform, I'm like, yeah, get Quinn Ewers. Again, you're looking at who would you replace Tua with? Like, you're looking at the quarterbacks and like, I mean, would you go for Aaron Rodgers and go? But again, he's what I said yesterday about him with the Steelers. It's just, you know what I mean. The whole thing is they tanked last year. Like, if they had a really bad season last year, they tanked and they went all in for tanking, and they got one of the first or second place. Like, they could have drafted like a Shador. Like, they could have gone in the second round. I know they needed some additions, but they could have gone in the second or especially the second round, they got like Shedeur Sanders. But that would have been you could have built around Shedeur Sanders, and he has more upside than a Quint Ewer. But they didn't even go. They passed on Shedeur Sanders. It's just, again, you could have gone for him as a backup, and then had Shedeur Sanders for 2026. But they passed on. Anyway, onto the schedule here, and also they signed Jalen Ramsey as well. So onto the schedule here. Week 1, they're at home to the Indianapolis Colts. Then weeks 2, 3, and 4. They have they're home to the Patriots. They're on the road to the Bills. They got the Jets. Then weeks 5, 6, and 7, they have the Panthers, the Chargers, and the Skid Marks. Then so they have 2 road games here against the Skid Marks and the Falcons. Then they have 2 back-to-back tough games at home to the Bills and to the Ravens. Then again, another 3 games in a row. You have a tough game against the Commanders, bye week on week 12. Coming after that bye week, you're at home to the Saints. Then you're on the road to the Jets, on the road to the Steelers. You have the Bengals at home. You have the Buccaneers at home, and then you finish week 18 on the road to the Patriots. So again, to me, I just feel like they're just going to be another 8-9 team. I don't know if there's going to be any progression with the Dolphins this year. You got to look at Mike McDaniels and go, he's definitely going to be in the hot seat this year. I like him as a coach, but I think he's not getting the best out of the roster that he has. And you look at Chris Greer again. He's been assembling his team for the last number of years. Why the fuck is Chris Greer still the fucking GM and still assembling this team? That is the big problem, is that Chris Greer for a lot of years in the Dolphins front office has been the reason why the team has been falling short the last number of years, because of Chris Greer. Especially a guy on the hot seat this year is going to be Mike McDaniel. But again, I think they're going to be 3rd in the division this year, because I'm going to talk about the Patriots in a minute. But yeah, onto the team I'm going to talk about now, the New England Patriots. Now last year, the hiring of Jared Mayo and Drake May's first year, you ultimately was going to have a lot of growing pains, a lot of growing pains that was going to, because again, it's a big transition from having Bill Belichick for 20 years, then you're coming into having a brand new head coach who had no defensive coordinator background. He was a linebacker for Belichick. He got a job because, again, he was a Super Bowl champion. And again, keeping up Belichick winning tree, guys. We keep going back to the Bill Belichick winning tree. They had a rookie quarterback, like I said, in Drake May. They finished 4-13. It was but last in the division. And then the last game of the regular season, they beat the Bills at home. And if they actually lost to the Bills, they would have got the first round pick in this year's draft. And then Jared Mayo was fired. Mike Vrabel comes in, and then the needs that they have to address, they needed at least 4 starters on the offensive line. They needed 4 brand new starters on the offensive line from the free agency or from the draft. They also need to address the defense, the wide receivers. They especially need weapons. You need to protect Drake May in the trenches on the offensive side of the ball, but you need weapons around him, especially for the running game and for wide receiver. So the additions that they added in was Alex Austin, cornerback, Ben Brown, Dimitri Jacobs, Jeremiah Phantom Jr., defensive end. What's going on here? And then the departures, really not much to, again, you look at this, on the departures side of things, you're not going to say, oh, big miss here, but like Trey Avery, and again, Trey Avery on a cornerback position, Alex Lundstrom, cornerback, corner. Tight end Tyler Davis. Again, these guys are not going to be, these are missable guys. But in the draft, they drafted Will Campbell, offensive tackle from LSU, and I'm like, I looked at his tape. I looked at his tape, and I've talked about him. Was he the best? I mean, you drafted him 4th overall, 1st round. I just wasn't impressed with him on tape, guys. Maybe just something that the Patriots seen in him, what Elliott Wolf's seen in. Will Campbell's like, yeah, that sort of guy, but not for me. Trayvon Henderson, running back from Ohio, I think that's a good addition, especially you're looking at the running back class. Obviously, Ashton Jeanty was the best of that class, but really, Trayvon Henderson, I think people are going to be like, yeah, that guy. Again, people are sleeping on him. I think people are going to sleep on Trayvon Henderson because, again, you look at Ashton Jeanty, like he's the best out of that wide receiver class, running back class by a country mile, and then Trayvon Henderson isn't too far behind in my opinion, but good addition for the Patriots. And Kyle Williams, wide receiver. So again, what I like here, you fixed the offensive line, you fixed the running game, the wide receiver. Again, you've gone back to the offensive line with Jared Wilson from Georgia, Joshua Farmer, defensive tackle from Florida State, Brandon Swisson, defensive tackle from LSU. Marcus Bryant, defensive tackle from Missouri. So again, I do like the Patriots' approach here. And then looking at their schedule, first game they have the Raiders at home. They're on the road to the Dolphins. They have the Steelers and Panthers in week 3 and 4. They have a tough game at home on the road to the Bills. Then they come off that with week 6, 7, and 8. They have 2 road games against the Saints and the Titans, road total team. Then they have the Browns, Falcons, and then they're on the road to the Buccaneers. They have the Jets, a tough game against the Bengals on the road. Then they have the Giants. They have a bye week in week 14, home to the Bills, and then a tough road game against the Ravens, and then they finish with another road game against the Jags. Looking at the Patriots for this year, I'm gonna give them. I'm gonna say for them. I'll say that they're second in the division, so I'm gonna say second for the Patriots. I think people probably sleep on the Patriots a bit. I think that you're looking at, especially what Verbal's trying to do here. Like I said, with Trayvon Henderson, I think is a good addition. Will Campbell, not too impressed with, but again, it is, again, I don't really care for that draft pick. And then you're looking at the Jets here. Again, the Jets last year, they had Robert Saleh, he got fired, but they had to Aaron Rodgers to finish the regular season. They had the finished regular season with a 5-12 record, so really bad record. 3rd in the division. They hired former defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn from the Lions. They had to get a quarterback in this draft. They needed an offensive tackle, tight end, defensive line, wide receiver. And then you're looking at the draft approach here. Offensive tackle Armando Membo, offensive tackle from Missouri. Again, I'm a fan of him. I've seen him on tape. I think he did. I may have talked about him on the channel. I've got to go back, but he is a good addition. I've seen him on tape. Mason Taylor, tight end from LSU. So again, you're beefing up and improving on your weapons on the offensive side of the ball. They traded away a couple of picks to the Raiders and added in Adrian Smith, wide receiver from Georgia. Malachi Moore, safety from Alabama, and then Tyler Barron, defensive end. So again, focus on the additions that they need, especially offensive tackle, tight end, defensive line, stuff like that. So then you're going into really the schedule here. The Steelers, they have the Steelers at home. Then they have the Bills. So again, you're looking at the tough game with the Bills. Then they're on the road to the Buccaneers. They have 2 road games in week 3 and 4 against the Buccaneers and the Dolphins. They have the Cowboys and Denver at home. Then they go to week 7 and 8 with the Bengals and the Panthers. They have a bye week in week 9, weeks 10 to 12. They have the Skid Marks at home. They're on the road to the Patriots. And the Ravens. So again, really 2 big tough road games. Then they come off those 2 games with the Falcons in week 13. Week 14 and 15 and 16 they have the Jags on the road, the Saints on the road, and the Patriots at home. And then they finish the regular season. They finish on the road to the Bills. So I'm gonna say probably they're probably gonna be a 7 and maybe 7 and 10 team this year. Finish probably 4th in the division. I don't know. Like, to me, I don't know. I'm gonna say 7 and 10. Like, again, you could Jets approach. They've gone back for a defensive head coach in Aaron Glenn. So again, it's kind of an unknown what's Aaron Glenn gonna do in his first year. And then we go to the Buffalo Bills. Now the Bills, like I said, they're gonna win the division. You look at the Bills, and I'm not gonna go too in depth about this, but the Bills last year, they got to the second championship game under Sean McDermott, and then ultimately choked in the championship game against the Chiefs in the AFC game against the Chiefs. They choked once again, and then I've talked about this in a video beginning of the year, but how long is the front office going to keep Sean McDermott? Because again, he is a good coach, right? You look at when he before he took over the Bills in 2017, they were never near any playoff contention, or was really getting consistently in the playoffs or getting to a championship game. And then, they draft Josh Allen in 2018. Stephon Diggs comes in, Damar Hamlin, and a bunch of other guys come in. And then you're seeing those guys, like again, Stephon Diggs goes to Houston last season. And you're seeing the team that, again, Josh Allen was the MVP last year. It was the MVP in the NFL again last year. Multi-time MVP winning quarterback, and you're still not getting to a Super Bowl. You're still not even appearing at a Super Bowl. Like you're got to 2 championship games under Sean McDermott, and you're still like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? And it's always the defense side of the ball that's fucking him over. So last year, like I said, with the Bills, they won the division, and they finished 13-4 last year. They lost to the Chiefs in the AFC 29-32. And then really the additions they need a cornerback, they need a defensive line, an edge, wide receiver. The additions of Amari Rodgers signed as a tight end from the Eagles. Joey Bosa. I think Joey Bosa coming in, especially in that defense side of the ball, is a fantastic addition. Joey Bosa coming in. I know he's like 31 now, but 31, he's going to be a fantastic addition, Joey Bosa. Great addition to bring him in and really solidify that defense and try to hopefully stabilize that defense a bit more. Then you're looking at the departures. You're looking at Von Miller again. Didn't do much really, to be honest. But Von Miller comes in. Von Miller departs to the Commanders. That was really the only thing. Kareem Jackson departs as well. Micah Hyde retires. There's a couple of notable departures. And then Kerr Elm gets traded from the Cowboys to the Bills, and in that return they get a 5th and 7th round pick. And in the draft, again, what I liked about the draft approach here is that they draft Maxwell Hartson, cornerback from Kentucky. They get T.J. Sanderson, defensive tackle from South Carolina, who again I'm interested to see his pairing with Joey Bosa. Then you're looking, and then Landon Jackson, defensive end. Deone Walker, defensive tackle. Jordan Hannah, cornerback from Ohio State. So again, you've got some good additions. You look at the schedule here. They have a tough game on prime time against the Bills at home. Then they're on the road to the Jets on week 2, week 3, and week 4. They're at home to the Dolphins, the Saints, and the Patriots. They're on the road to the Falcons week 6, week 7 is bye week after bye week. They have the Panthers on the road. They have the Chiefs, big game week 9 against the Chiefs. Will they get some revenge from the championship game early in the year? Then they have the Bengals on week. After the Chiefs week 9, they have week 10 to week 14, even 15. They have tough games against the Dolphins, the Bucks, especially the Texans. You'll think the Patriots, the Bengals. Then after the regular season, they're on the road to the Bengals, and then they have they're home to the reigning defensive Super Bowl champions, the Eagles, and then they finish week 18 with a road game against the Jets. So you're looking at the Bills. I'm going to say they're 14-2 this year, a 14-2 team this year. They'll probably get to maybe another championship game and then choke again. That's just my opinion. And then we're going to go back to the cycle again of Sean McDermott's going to be... and then you're going to go back at his team and go, this is kind of similar to what happened with the Bills in the 1990s. Unlike this Bills team, the Bills in the 1990s actually got Super Bowls. But yeah, at some point, when are the Bills going to cut the losses with Sean McDermott and go, look, we need somebody who's going to win now because Josh Allen's turning 30. All these parts that we have, multiple-time MVP, all these weapons around Josh Allen, especially on the offensive side of the ball, and we have this great team, and then we're not winning championships. You don't want to look at this in the next 5-10 years and go, the Bills team of the late 2010s and the early 2020s were great, but they never won a championship, guys. You don't want that. So yeah, leave your guys' thoughts in the comments, guys, and I'll be back in a couple of days to talk about the NFC East.